Good afternoon, traders and investors. Will back here with another one, coming to with a Tuesday market recap. Hope all of you had a very good day today. And in today's markets, guys, well, the action was mostly sideways, as it has been over the last 4 or 5 days of trading. After about 12, 13 days of rally in a row, guys, very normal for the markets to at least consolidate sideways or maybe even a little bit down on the QQQs. And that's exactly what persisted today as well. Very mixed market as a whole today, guys. Now, we did have some good performance in financials, but largely the market was very mixed, and the breadth of the market was very mixed as well. That is possibly because traders are largely waiting on the sidelines for the two major events of this week. Number one, of course, is going to be NVIDIA earnings coming after the close tomorrow, which will have a very large impact on most of all tech names, especially your semiconductors names, but also your Magnificent Seven as well are not immune to the results of those earnings. And factor number two that we're going to be looking out for, volatility event number two rather, is going to be the GDP numbers that we get on Thursday morning. And then as a smaller catalyst is going to be PCE inflation on the Friday session as well here, guys. So in today's video, what we're going to do is take a look at our major technical analysis rundown in terms of our major market indexes and our big tech names and see how are we positioned leading into those NVIDIA earnings and leading into our economic macro catalysts for the week. And then lastly, guys, take a look at my portfolio for trades made today. Not going to cover any earnings today because tomorrow is where most of the action is going to be. So tomorrow after the close, guys, we're probably going to cover NVIDIA, CrowdStrike, and Salesforce, your biggest of the three names reporting after the bell tomorrow. So let's get right into it, guys. In terms of your day's price action, SPY up about 0.14%, QQQ up 0.30%. But when you take a look at the heat map, guys, you will see it's a very, very mixed market, right? Amongst your big tech names, very, very mixed. Semiconductors actually having a little bit of a rally after being considerably red yesterday. The bottom half of the market as well, really only financials and healthcare were doing some good performance today. Energy was slightly down. Consumer cyclicals as well were down. Defensive's not too bad, but you can see very, very mixed market picture as a whole. In terms of the one-day relative, guys, you can see that even better, right? Pretty much split right down the middle, right? As many sectors in the green as there were in the red. So we did still have some healthy inter-market rotation. However, I wouldn't say that the bulls are in full control of this pullback location right now, right? Really just sideways consolidation action at the top of the SPY and even sideways, slightly downside consolidation on the QQQs. Nothing in terms of red flags just yet, but we'll have to closely monitor these markets after our major news events, after NVIDIA earnings tomorrow evening, and of course, Thursday after the market open. Once we get those GDP numbers, should be a volatile at least next 24, 36 hours, in my humble opinion. Now, moving into the technical analysis portion, guys, we are going to just go over SPY and the major indexes, guys, relatively quickly because not much has changed in the last 4 or 5 days of trading. We are still looking for the exact same things. So I'll remind you the context of what we're in right now. Huge engulfing move, right? Big daily downtrend right here, a big engulfing move, and now we are trying to set a bit of a bull flag at the top here. SPY bulls are not giving back too much at all, but I would pay close attention to this level, this dotted line right here, guys. 554.80, let's call it for all intents and purposes 555. The 12 EMA is there as well, and that's the lows of last Wednesday and Thursday's trading. We have not really made a new high to speak of, only really kind of double top highs right here. So in the event we lose these lows after NVIDIA or maybe GDP, that would be your first confirmed daily downtrend, and that would send us into further, perhaps, weekly consolidation on these charts right there, the end of which, in my humble opinion, could come as low as about 546 down to about 538, right? Still looking out for the possibility of an inverse head and shoulders on these markets. All in all, though, guys, as of now, the bulls do remain healthy. And keep in mind, the bulls do have a 100% engulfing bounce going for them right now. So they do have tons of space on the weekly in the event we choose to consolidate just a fraction on the SPY, right? This would also be known as a weekly cup and handle pattern, usually a very strong pattern that does get respected a lot of the times, usually about a 75-80% win rate pattern in terms of long continuation, right? So moving into the QQQs right now, QQQs up about 0.3% right here, and the QQQ's bounce was not as significant as the SPY. You just saw that on the weekly, right? So what are we looking at here in terms of the Qs? Virtually the same thing. After about 10, 12 days worth of rally, still just finding some consolidation. However, now QQQs are actually in the midst of a daily downtrend. clearly break of the equal lows right here, lower high, lower low. That is your daily downtrend being set in motion. But just because it's a daily downtrend, guys, does not mean we're expecting the absolute flush, right? Because of the magnificent size of the bounce, we are just potentially expecting, even if we have a further daily downtrend, maybe just weekly higher lows and possible recapture of the weekly uptrend. And that being said, keep in mind, we do have a bounce size of about 80%. So the bulls do have very good odds of being able to recapture this weekly uptrend. The maximum potential drawdown in the short term, guys, may just be these levels right here, 463 down to about 456, before we make that potential weekly trend change attempt by the bulls. So the bulls still looking very good right now, but as I said, largely dependent on the next few days worth of catalysts, right? So moving on to XLF right now, XLF performing beautifully today, and they're up 0.52%. And this daily uptrend on XLF is an absolute monster. Very, very gorgeous daily uptrend right now. As soon as the move is topped out, just gonna be looking for a daily higher low for possible further trend continuation. How do you know when a move is topped out, guys? Well, you just have to watch the hourly time frame. In the event we break the structure of the hourly time frame and manifest into lower lows, lower highs, lower lows, that is hourly downtrend. Keep an eye on the loss of the 12 EMA plus that hourly downtrend to have your final confirmations that daily consolidation is underway. At that point, just looking for a higher low, anything above 43.55 for that daily higher low for possible further trend continuation. Where can we maybe pull back into, guys? Well, these prior all-time highs seem to be the most likely scenario for me. 44.05 and the 12 EMA could be curling into that area as well. So nice little decent amount of confluence in that area. On the weekly, everything is looking fantastic, right? Gorgeous weekly uptrend. So even if, guys, we lose the daily uptrend and lose the prior all-time highs, the bulls have so much space, anything above 40.6. Just gonna be looking for that weekly higher low for further trend continuation, guys. Financials, gotta hand it to them, moving very, very, very nicely right now. If you guys were able to take the MasterCard and Visa plays that I've been recommending pretty much now, well, not a recommendation because none of this is financial advice, but the ones that I was heavily hinting at, let's say, Visa and MasterCard, those are now performing excessively nice. Visa especially, right? So MasterCard in this event is your lead bull for the Visa and MasterCard pairing, right? They are the ones that set up for the daily trend change first, and they have recaptured the most amount of the move in relation back to the all-time highs, right? So now clearly back above all of our short-term moving averages on the daily, clearly back above our moving averages on the weekly. Sorry if you can't see them, they are right about here. And overall, just looking like a very beautiful weekly uptrend recapture attempt by MasterCard. Visa is trailing slightly behind, but the setup is exactly the same. This is the first time since the month of March, guys, that we finally have a confirmed daily uptrend in motion. No prior daily uptrends back here. The only attempt at one was here, but we double topped and unfortunately just rolled it over, right? So first daily uptrend since the month of March. First time as well since the month of March that we have now been above in a daily uptrend, above all of your short-term moving averages. So this does lead me to believe your weekly lows are set. We are possibly looking to make some multiple weekly legs of moves higher, and possibly even your monthly higher lows are set. Gorgeous, gorgeous, gorgeous monthly uptrend right here, looking for that trend expansion. So congratulations to all of you who were able to pick up some Visa and MasterCard shares with me when we were hinting at them at the lows down here. Moving into Visa right now. So moving into XLV Healthcare. Healthcare just continues to be very, very strong. No pullback whatsoever on healthcare, guys. Just continuously setting higher lows. Every single candle almost is a higher low pertaining to the most recent day, right? This is what you call a stair-step pattern to the upside. Now, what are we going to be looking for, guys, is eventually this move is definitely going to top out, right? Keep an eye on the hourly time frame. If we set up for the hourly downtrend here, loss of all your major moving averages, that will definitely be the start of daily consolidation. Where can we possibly look to consolidate into? Well, your first line of defense is going to be this 12 EMA right here at about 153.55. But we have not really set much of any support once we broke through this level right here, right? So this price action right now is quite thin, if I do say so myself. In the event healthcare does roll over right here into a daily downtrend, keep in mind the bulls have so much space, guys. Beautiful weekly uptrend, looking for a weekly higher low for possible further trend continuation. So overall, the markets are looking very good, guys. Financials and XLV are set up for eventual weekly consolidation, right? They're set up for the eventual weekly consolidation. what could take over if XLF and XLV take a little bit of a breather here? What can possibly take over? You might get some takeover by the QQQs, right? Keep a very close eye on those NVIDIA earnings because that will be pivotal to QQQ's role in taking off some of the weight from healthcare and financials, which have been outperforming over the last couple of weeks. In terms of your semiconductor names, so semiconductors are pulling literally into the exact area that we were expecting prior to NVIDIA earnings. So take a look at this right here, right? Daily uptrend is clear as day right now. Looking for the daily high or low, made an attempt at the daily trend continuation, but got rejected by this big red box up here, 257 down to about 248. And now we've put in the lower low. So it is an official daily downtrend started, which means that we are currently under weekly consolidation, looking for that weekly higher low. The bulls are trying to get a weekly trend change back in motion. And with the size of this bounce right here, guys, a 618 bounce, they definitely do have some decent probabilities of making that happen. Now, one of two things is going to happen, guys. Either NVIDIA's earnings are going to be lackluster and underperform, at which point we may consolidate even further into this green box of support, 239 down to about 224. That, if we get something like this, that is when I will be going shopping for individual names, potentially some Micron, potentially some NVIDIA, depending how much, if they drop, of course, AMD, TSM, ASML, maybe some Broadcom, just depends which one gives the best deals for any levels, right? But that is the technical setup that I'm looking for. And of course, to the upside, right? We know that we're looking to set up for some weekly higher lows and possibly some weekly trend continuation. So if NVIDIA earnings are bullish and they lift up the entire sector, we may just see a break above our area of resistance, give a daily uptrend attempt back to the bulls, and would look something like that, just going for the weekly trend, recapture, right? Since we lost it back here, well, we're now looking to get that one back. So NVIDIA's earnings, very, very crucial to the price action of this chart, but I'm going to be ready to play them either way. And of course, I'll be sharing with you guys after I do make those plays, how exactly I've traded those post NVIDIA earnings. Now moving into IWM Russell. So IWM down about 0.8% today, and the Russell just gapping down, right? Having a little bit of daily consolidation, but that's okay. Daily uptrend is clear as day right now. Still hunting for that daily higher low. At this point, anything above 212, just going to be looking for that daily higher low for potential further trend continuation, trying to attack the area at which we got rejected above, guys. 225, 226. That is a very big level, guys. We're coming into the prior all-time highs that we had back in 2021. So we're going to need some very bullish markets in order for the bulls to get through all of this area of congestion. So what I'm trying to say is IWM cannot do it on its own, guys. It needs SPY and it needs QQQ to go on their all-time high break runs. Anything short of that may just lead to some further consolidation in the Russell, maybe a loss of the daily, and maybe just further weekly consolidation here, guys. I'd be looking for a short-term retest in the event the markets do have a temporary little daily downtrend event right here. Keep an eye on this location right there, 211 down to about 208. That should be the sweet spot for me. Big prior resistance for these markets right here. Resistance here again, big support. So you obviously understand 208 down to about 211 rather, down to about 208. Huge, huge, huge area for the bulls to protect, guys, because if we lose that, just going to go into a forever tightening range until the uncertainty in the markets really starts coming out, right? Very tough for the growth stocks to run substantially in the face of a potential recession narrative. Moving down to the Dow Jones really performing beautifully, very, very close to the all-time highs, which were set pretty much yesterday, not losing any ground whatsoever today, but also not making tremendous gains. So daily uptrend right now is clear as day. As soon as this move is topped out, right, we did kind of top out yesterday, hunting for the daily higher low right now for possible further trend continuation and possible new all-time high breaks on the Dow Jones. The weekly would definitely support that, guys. We are in a beautiful weekly uptrend right now, just looking for continuation. But in the event we do lose this because of macro data or NVIDIA earnings this week, which kind of sours the sentiment in the market, so to speak, well, if we do get a daily downtrend here, guys, just understand so much space on the weekly, anything above 38,600, looking for a weekly higher low for possible further trend continuation. But the Dow Jones is holding up better than a lot of other indexes right now, looking quite good. The bulls are in full control of everything. Control the monthly, control the weekly, and in full control of the daily. So as of right now, guys, no red flags whatsoever on those markets. Now let's move into our big tech names. So in terms of our big tech names, guys, 0.37% on Apple. So Apple still looking excessively good, but still kind of struggling, guys, to break out of this little tight range that we have going on here, right? Since I can't draw straight lines, let me just actually use a tool to do it for me. So moving on to the tight range that Apple is in, right? This, in other words, is a bull flag. I was talking about this in yesterday's video, right? When you have a massive move to the upside here, guys, we have to watch where the range of consolidation happens. If the bears pull all the way back here, and that's where your consolidation happens, well, there's a high likelihood that we may get some further rollover because most of your bullish momentum is lost in this downside move, right? However, if the bulls push, and then refuse to give back even more than 10% of the move, guys, look how much percentage of this move they've only given back, right? Not even 20, I would say that's half of 20, about 10, 13% of the move maybe. So they're trying to hold most of their momentum at the higher levels. They want to form the bull flag right here, not give much back at all, and try to break above. So Apple looking very good. We'll keep an eye on the break levels, 228.80, and to the downside, 223.50. Break either of those two levels, guys. Two things are going to happen, right? Break to the upside, daily uptrend simply continues. However, break to the downside, guys, daily downtrend is underway, and then we look for a tiny little bit of possible weekly consolidation, the depths of which could maybe take us down into the 219 down to about 215 level, this green box of support that I've labeled on the chart. And obviously, if we break it to the upside, guys, well, you're targeting your prior all-time highs, 235, 237. So going to wait for the way Apple breaks, guys. In my humble opinion, this one as well is going to be dependent on which on which direction NVIDIA chooses to move the market. So we'll keep a close eye on Apple. As I've said before, guys, very tough for me to play Apple here because of the valuation concerns, because of the flat year-on-year revenue growth concerns as well. It's just too expensive for me, guys. And even then, there's not really many support areas that we're close to, right? I would love to try and make an attempt at some short puts, but unfortunately, we're too far away from the bottom end of this support level. And going for maybe call options or call debit spreads at this level, even though it does look good, right? The risk to reward proposition isn't always the best. Sure, you can say that we can have a tight stop loss below here and targeting the all-time highs, and the risk to reward is fine. Yes, but we're still trying to squeeze out the last little bit of a massive prior weekly move, right? So that's just my opinion on Apple. Moving into AMD, AMD not looking too bad today, up about 0.34%, and AMD is really acting exactly like the rest of semiconductors, right? So daily uptrend was confirmed, and then unfortunately, guys, we have now lost, right? Lower high, lower low, daily downtrend underway, getting rejected at this big location. Cannot blame it on the bulls, guys. This was a huge level for them to break, and I would have been very surprised, guys, if they would have been able to break this already having come up off the bottoms 33%, right? They were probably out of gas. It takes a lot of momentum and strength to break through such a solid weekly level. Huge support back here, big congestion for about 2-3 months at that point, and now once again acting as resistance. So the bulls are just taking a little bit of a breather, daily downtrend right now, simply at this point looking for a weekly higher low for a possible attempt at a weekly trend change. Keep in mind the size of the bounce on the weekly on AMD was okay. It was a 618% retracement, which does give them some good odds to be able to reset into a weekly higher low for possible further trend continuation. Where am I looking to play AMD, guys? Love this green box down here, talking about maybe the lower 140s all the way down to roughly $130. Seems to be very, very solid support for the bulls right here. So that in the event we come down into this location, think I'm going to be writing puts in maybe the mid 130s level, maybe even loading up some call debit spreads on AMD, right? I know AMD hasn't had the best price action, right? Especially since their massive rally here in February. It's kind of just been down, sideways, and just more downside, right? That is very normal, guys, right? In AMD right now, what it's trying to do is it's trying to run ahead of its fundamentals, but Wall Street is not allowing it too much. The fundamentals do support extreme growth, 2025, 26, and 2027. So if you're holding this one for a long-term thesis, guys, the thesis kicks in as of next year. We have to be patient with them and give them a chance, right? Notice the flatness of revenue, 2021 through 2024. Here is your data center NVIDIA competition ramp. Here is also your data center revenue ramp on revenue. This was EPS. So profitability will be heavily improving. Revenue will be heavily improving as well. So need to give them a little bit of time. I still do believe that this is a very decent area to be building some shares if that is your thesis for an AMD in the medium to long term. Now moving into Amazon. So Amazon not looking too bad, but down about 1.36% today. Amazon still trying to find its daily higher low. So we had literally like 12, 13 days of rally in a row, and now we are just having some healthy consolidation. Where did we get rejected? Pretty much the exact area that I was calling for, right? The prior to earnings gap fill location, filled the gap, and then immediately started turning around. But the bulls have tons of space here, guys. At this point, anything above 151, just looking for a slight daily higher low and possible daily trend recapture. However, if the bears take back too much and roll into a daily downtrend, I just want you guys to understand we are probably just looking out for a weekly higher low for a possible weekly trend attempt change back to the bulls. The lower end of this box right here, guys, 165, super solid location. Not only is it the previous lows right here of weekly support, but it is also the previous all-time highs, massive area of support from 2020 and 2021. So I wouldn't rule the bulls out just yet. The size of the bounce as well, the size of the bounce was not the best, but it was a 618, right? The best would be, 782 or above, but a 618 is definitely nothing to frown upon. It does give the bulls a very good chance of being able to reset for a weekly uptrend. So Amazon, I'm a big fan of playing Amazon in the lower 170s / high 160s, preferably. The strikes I'd be looking for maybe some short put options is the 167.5 or maybe even the 165s on Amazon. Looking very good. We're going to try and make an attempt for that weekly trend change. And the valuation of this company, guys, extremely attractive right now. Right at 170, you have a forward peg ratio of about 1.42. That is very cheap for a company that's growing the size of Amazon, and especially Amazon will have record free cash flows and record net profit margins this year, which the company has never done in its history, guys. This is the breakthrough year for Amazon in terms of net profits, right? They've never focused on net profits before. They've always been a top line over everything company, top line revenue growth of over and above all. And now they're focusing on bottom line profits, free cash flow expansion, which means they are now focusing on the shareholders, potentially trying to follow in their peers' footsteps and maybe load up a few $1 billion for some eventual buybacks. Amazon doesn't do those, and maybe they might do them in the near-term future. Moving into Google right now. So Google also down about 1% here today. So Google has been relatively struggling here over the past 2 weeks, right? That is definitely known. Their bounce has not been as significant as the rest of big tech. That being said, guys, we were in a very nice daily uptrend, and now we have somewhat of a range of consolidation. I wouldn't rule the bulls out just yet. That would come with a break of last Wednesday's low. Break last Wednesday's low, guys, and you get, this is Thursday's low, the Powell day. Break this low, unfortunately, you will have low, lower high, lower low, aka the daily downtrend in motion. And then we look to the weekly to gauge whether or not the bulls can save this weekly formation of a possible new weekly uptrend attempt. However, Google is one of your weaker bounces. Take a look at this. They've only bounced 38.2%. This actually favors the bears for a potential revisit of the lows, or maybe even a flush weekly downtrend continuation, and have to revisit the price action at the lower bound of support down here, 152 all the way down to 145. One thing's for sure here, guys. I love Google in either one of these two scenarios. In the lower 160s for the potential weekly higher low setup into a weekly trend change. But in the event they roll over, guys, I will be throwing even more at Google, especially down here, 155 down to about 145. That will be an extremely attractive location to be buying Google. May even throw some leap call options at it. 21 all the way down to roughly 25% down on Google, a company with such solid fundamentals, a company with such good valuation right now as well. 25% sale on Google would be very welcome. Every single time in the context of an overall bull market that Google has dropped in excess of 15%, it's always been a great buying opportunity. And whenever we can find it off by about 20%, that's an even better one, right? It happens a lot. This was COVID. This was an anomaly, of course. But if you take a look at the context of some bull markets of the past, you can see that every time Google drops by roughly 20%, it is usually always met with some sustained rallies afterwards. So I will be looking to play those dips quite aggressively if they do manifest into Google. So we will see what happens. I'm kind of hoping for more downside. I really would like them to pick me up both in these lower 160 levels, but maybe even in the 150s, guys. That would be the best gift of the world. Maybe an early Christmas present for me. I'd be holding on to those leaps. Probably going to get maybe a year and a half, 2 years worth of time on them. Just be sure to outlast any recessionary fears, right? Now, moving into Meta. Meta also not looking too bad today, 0.39% to the downside. But as we were saying in yesterday's video, Meta unfortunately has now lost its daily uptrend attempt and set a lower low. We do not have a daily downtrend just yet. That would be lower high into lower low, but you guys get the idea, right? All of this momentum is unfortunately now lost. The bulls have to kind of get it back again. That being said, we are still struggling, guys, in this area of all-time high resistance. Not the first time, right? We've struggled with this location quite a few times on Meta so far, have not been able to get that break and retest and start running above. So in the event Meta consolidates a little bit further here, guys, what are we going to be looking for, right? Especially if they roll over into a daily downtrend, keep an eye on your weekly timeframes. What did the bulls do on a weekly? We have a 100% engulfing move. Possibly, if we get further retracement, looking for the weekly cup and handle and maybe a further continuation of the weekly uptrend. Looking very, very solid on Meta. One thing is for sure, guys, if we do come back down here, 495 down to about 490, it's going to open up a lot of credit spreads down here in the lower 460 range, and maybe even some call debit spreads, right? If in the event we pull back a little bit further than that, let's call it in the low 480s type of thing, well, then I may be tempted to throw some call debit spreads at Meta for some potential weekly trend recapture later on in the year when we get through some of the seasonality, some of the recession uncertainty, some of the election uncertainty as well, right? A lot of uncertainty factors. That's why it's very tough. You haven't really seen many big tech names mount back to their all-time highs and push new all-time highs either, right? Moving on to Microsoft right now. Give me a very brief second. So moving into Microsoft. Microsoft up about 0.08%. Very decent day for Microsoft. Nothing bad to say, right? All in all, still hunting for one simple thing, hunting for the eventual bottom of this daily consolidation. We knew that we were in a very nice daily uptrend on Microsoft, but we also knew to be mindful of the overhead resistance, right? 436 to about 424 was very, very large resistance, guys. It acted as resistance for a few times during the year, and once again, it has come to bite the bulls. Now, in terms of what we're looking for, obviously, we've now lost this daily uptrend by losing these lows right here. So at this point in time, guys, what are we looking for since we lost the daily uptrend? We know we're looking for some weekly consolidation. The bulls are trying to set up for a possible weekly trend change. Now, Microsoft suffers from a little bit of the same issue as Google. The overall size of the bounce was not that impressive. Take a look at this, right? Size of the bounce, not very impressive. Only about a barely 50% bounce. So it does give the bulls some chances of resetting into a weekly uptrend, but not the best chances. Definitely not as high as about a 618 bounce, right? That would create a lot more space. So now we will watch this lower area of support, 403 down to about 391. This is going to be my area that I'm looking to play some Microsoft swing trades at. Think if we do pull back a little bit lower, guys, I'm looking for anything under 410. If we get under 410, significantly think 409, 408, 407, things like that, that will free up some put credit spreads down here in maybe the lower 390 range. Possibly even some short puts if you have the capital to play something like that, and even some debit spread attempts for that weekly trend change, right? Could be some very juicy swing trades on Microsoft. The fundamentals of this company are absolutely gorgeous. It's just getting caught in the overall tech weakness that's been plaguing the markets right now for about the last month and a half, right? But all of this is very healthy consolidation, guys, right? It is very healthy consolidation on the monthly timeframes. Yes, we gave a ton back on the weekly, but all of this is very good. What we have to ask ourselves when we see such tremendous dips on our big tech names, have the fundamentals of any of these companies changed at all in the last month and a half? And the answer is no, guys. They're still the exact same companies, right? So that's why we should be buying these dips. Even if we're nervous about potential recession continuation to the downside, we have to at least be able to nibble at these levels, right? Microsoft right now from the all-time highs, about 12% off. If we come down 15% off, you guys know that usually when Microsoft, in its history, whenever we have a 15% dip from a local all-time high, it is usually a very good proposition to be buying at least a few shares of the company. I'm not saying throw the entire portfolio at it, but at least a very good proposition to start the DCA dollar cost average process. Moving into Netflix right now. Netflix looking quite good, 1.06%, and Netflix has been one of those that's been stronger than the rest, right? So Netflix looking very, very strong. They tried, guys. They tried to go for the new all-time high today, unfortunately getting rejected. So beautiful daily move. Higher low is set right now at about 678. Now, the bulls do have a job to do. They have to continue this daily uptrend. And where are we moving into, guys? Well, that would require a break of the previous all-time high, which is here, but also the former area of all-time high, right? We're kind of stuck to those areas. It's kind of pulling a meta right now where it's cracking slightly above the all-time highs, but not in a convincing fashion, right? So that's the scenario number one. Scenario number two is we unfortunately put in a lower high with today, the markets roll over, and we flush these lows right here. That would be daily downtrend by the bears, and then we would be looking for a bit of weekly consolidation. Keep in mind, 100% engulfing move on the weekly. The bulls would be looking for a potential cup and handle scenario to potentially get the weekly uptrend back in their favor. They had it right here, lost it by losing these lows. Now they have to get it back, right? Great V-shape initial move, but now we have to confirm the weekly uptrend. In the event we pull back a little bit harder than usual, we'll be looking for some support down here. 656 down to about 630. This green box could be a great area for the bulls to build a little bit more support before making another attempt at the all-time highs. But all in all, guys, Netflix looking very, very good. The flip side of that is obviously the breakout retest, right? So the breakout, let's say on the weekly, gonna look at this on the weekly, right? This is the all-time high level right here. We need the breakout, convincing fashion breakout, retest of this range. That's where we can build some positions, and then for the run, usually that's a high quality trade as well. Moving into NVIDIA right now. So NVIDIA, of course, can't say much about NVIDIA other than give you guys the expected move. So let's have a look at NVIDIA's expected move, and then we can derive maybe after that expected move NVIDIA can end up, right? So the expected move, as per usual, is literally 10%. So if NVIDIA roughly maintains the same price action range into tomorrow, which I do think will be the case, guys, it's maintained the range for the past 5-6 days, then they will not let it move too far away, right? 10% to the upside, where will that put us, guys? A brand new all-time high. And I've been saying, guys, now this is not to say that the exact same thing is going to happen, right? But I noticed something. It's an eerily similar setup, right? Look at these setups right here leading into an earnings cycle. So obviously we had 2 earnings cycle ago, gap up, 2 legs higher, right? Pretty much 2, maybe you can count them as 3 separate legs of trading higher, right? And then we got into some resistance right here, big engulfing candle, same thing right here. Look at this move, right? Big move up after earnings, 3 legs of rise, big engulfing candle at the top, sharp move down, try to get a daily uptrend, and then lower high. Same thing right here. Try to get a daily uptrend going, lower high, then roll over for about 3 legs worth of downside, right? Then re-get the daily uptrend, move nicely to the upside, re-get the daily uptrend, move nicely to the upside, and then we patiently await for about 4, 5, 6 days sideways, patiently wait sideways. The result last quarter was 3, 4 beautiful days of upside continuation. Will we get the exact same thing? But you have to agree with me, right? These 2 pattern setups look eerily similar, right? So we'll see what happens for NVIDIA. Of course, the catalyst that could potentially affect their earnings are, of course, the delay of their Blackwell suite of products, right? Those are going to be the new commercial grade GPUs that NVIDIA is putting out. They were supposed to be ready by now, but unfortunately they will be delayed by about 2-3 months. That is maybe the slight overhang that we might have from their earnings. All in all, though, I am expecting good earnings from NVIDIA, but once again, it'll be a tale of year-over-year comparisons. We know that the growth rate for NVIDIA in 2023 was fantastic. Those numbers in terms of percentage growth per year are going to be very, very tough to beat. That is otherwise known as tough comps or tough comparables when you hear analysts talking about that, right? So we'll keep all of that on the watch. I do think that they could have some good earnings, guys. However, we have to remember what's happened to a few of our semiconductor names over the past quarter, right? TSMC, this most recent quarterly earnings, guys, had some of the best earnings that I've ever seen from the company. The CEO was literally on the earnings call saying they could not keep up with demand and the backlogs were filled to the brim until 2025. Gave outstanding next quarter and next year guidance, and they put in a heck of a quarter as well. Wall Street did not care. The stock was down 4%. Another one was ASML. ASML also reiterating the fact that 2025 is going to be insanely bullish for them. Crazy backlog of orders. They have a monopoly. It was not enough. The stock dropped roughly 13% after their earnings. Another one that we've all looked at on the channel, right, was AMD's earnings. So obviously you saw what happened on AMD's earnings, that a nice little 8-9% pop after their earnings and proceeded to give everything back. Even though the earnings, you would be hard pressed to find anything wrong in AMD's earnings other than perhaps their lackluster performance in their GPU gaming segment, which is a fraction of their future business. So, you know, a lot of other companies have reported very good earnings in semiconductors over this most recent quarter and still have been met with some downside selling pressure. It just goes to show, guys, how much bullish expectations were baked in the entire AI rally, which pretty much came to an abrupt end in the early portion of July. So that's what we're going to look out for on NVIDIA. To the upside, right? And to the downside, of course. Well, to the downside, 10% down, guys. That's going to open up some juicy trades. 10% to the downside would be roughly around the 115 level. That would be daily downtrend confirmed at that point. It would be some possible weekly consolidation. But look at this space, guys. The bulls have tons of space. Anything above 90, just looking for a weekly higher low for possible trend continuation. So in the event we come down 10%, guys, down into maybe the 115, 114, or maybe even lower, right? Because that's always a possibility, 110, it's going to free up some short put action in the lower $100 range. And this is exactly where I want to be buying this company myself after their earnings, if ever they're bad, guys. Because if ever their earnings are not well received, I don't believe it's going to be because they report bad earnings themselves. I just think it's going to be a byproduct of the current market environment and current sentiment around semiconductors that's in the market right now. Probably nothing in terms of long-term red flags with the business will be shown in tomorrow's earnings, right? So now moving into Tesla as well, down about 1.88%. So Tesla not looking too bad at all here today, but still in a daily downtrend as of now, right? So unfortunately, we did flush last Thursday's low, so daily downtrend on Tesla is underway, which means that our weekly lower highs are set. So the bulls put in a decent sized bounce, guys, but in my opinion, it was just not enough, right? Size of the bounce was just about 50%, which is a very decent bounce, but not enough to really guarantee the capacity of getting the weekly uptrend going again and revisiting some of the highs of earlier in the month of July, right? In the 250s, 260s. At this point, I really think Tesla is going to be put into somewhat of a consolidation range for the time being because we really have a lack of positive catalysts. Keep in mind your deliveries numbers only really come in at the end of September, and then your robotaxi event is only at the beginning of October. So lack of positive catalysts for Tesla may just lead us into some consolidation range, which is kind of exactly what we had here, right? It was a tighter consolidation range, admittedly, but then when we had deliveries, the robotaxi event, right, then we started getting some momentum to the upside. So Tesla kind of maybe relegated right now to a tightening range, but I wouldn't be opposed if we revisit these lows down here, lower 200s, high 190s. Maybe we can find some good pricing for some short puts or put credit spreads down into maybe the mid 175s, down to about 170. I want to stay very, very conservative on Tesla just because of that lack of positive bullish catalysts in the near term future. Now, lastly, let's cover Palantir. So Palantir also not moving too poorly today, pretty much flat on the day, right? And Palantir is doing what we thought it was going to be doing, which is trying to find its daily higher low. So tons of space right now for the bulls, anything above 2116, looking for that daily higher low for possible further trend continuation. Just be a little bit mindful of your daily MACD cross right there. Usually when you see that, guys, could just be met with a lower high and continued rollover of the momentum. That would be fine though, guys. Even if we cannot continue this daily uptrend and we roll over to daily downtrend, understand who is in control of your higher time frames. The monthly is entirely under the bulls' control, and they definitely have tons of space, guys, on the monthly. Anything above 21, looking for any monthly higher lows in the event of larger form consolidation. The weekly as well, anything above 21, looking for a weekly higher low, right? So I would be targeting tentatively over the next week or two, perhaps, this level right here, 29 down to 28. It was a huge level of resistance back in the past. Now we have broken out of the level, maybe looking to retest before making that second attempt, right? The only reason Palantir might be consolidating, guys, only reason I can see is valuation. We went over their earnings. Their earnings were fantastic. Demand for the company is very, very good. They obviously have the new partnership with Microsoft, and just all around, such a solid company, solid management, now profitable. So nothing bad to say about the company other than the fact that they've ran a ton since their earnings. They're slightly valued rich right now, guys. So that's why we may be expecting a tiny little pullback. We will reevaluate this opportunity. Once it comes down there, maybe some short put opportunities in the $27 or even $26 ranges, which is a more manageable valuation for the company as a whole. So that's pretty much everything we had, guys, in terms of our daily market recap. Hopefully you enjoyed that. Now let's jump into my portfolio for a few of the new trades made today. All right, guys, so moving into the position section of the portfolio, there was a few new trades made over the course of the day today, all of which are available, guys. If you are interested in the private community, you can find the link always down below in the description, where I show all of my trades in real time, give trade feedback for members as well, do daily market live streams Monday through Friday, exclusive member content, and so much more. And you can obviously chat with me as well all throughout the day and ask me my opinion on various topics, various trades, and everything like that. So hopefully to see you in there anytime that you would like to join. In terms of the positions here, guys, not much in terms of new trades here today. Pretty much kept the portfolio markup just the same. Didn't really close anything, right? So a lot of positions we went over yesterday, not many of these should be new to you guys. The new ones always have a little blue dot next to them. So we went with some more wheel trades. We went with the BMO short puts, the 110s for this Friday. They came down after an earnings move. We got about 46 cents for them, which is some very good premium considering there's only about 3 trading days left in the stock. And you guys will notice, pretty much traditional to my fashion, targeting a big level of weekly support for this stock, and just an overall very good company as a whole. Very solid Canadian bank. They pay a 5.18% dividend yield at these current prices. So in the event I get a sign, guys, I am not going to be too upset at all. It's a high quality company, and I love playing trades on those as a whole. So moving into the next one. Next one we have is Chewy. So this one's just a very tiny earnings play, guys. In the event, I'm actually trying to get assigned on Chewy. That's why I only wrote one contract. This is a 2 times the expected move type of earnings play, right? So the expected move on Chewy is roughly 10-11%. And we went pretty much with the $20 strike, which would be 2 standard deviations away, right? So all the way down to about 20 is about 23% worth of drawdown. I really like the 20 and lower levels. So if I'm able to get assigned a few shares of, or 100 shares of Chewy rather, I would not mind that at all. I will be looking to hold them for a longer period of time and get even more profits. Or, you know, if ever Chewy has good earnings and whatnot, we will just collect all of this $11 and maybe go have a coffee or something like that, right? Very tiny earnings play for that time being. Now, in terms of the rest of the trades, we took another wheeled trade today. We have a position on the Dow, not the Dow Jones, but the Dow Chemicals Company. Extremely solid company as well. One short put, $53 strike, 25 cents, well, decently close to our 0.5% rule, right? In terms of the Dow trade, same pretty much setup, right? Looking for an area of large weekly support. As you guys can see, this has been a very big area of support, arguably from the last 3 years. So we're targeting the top end of that. The drawdown is not so bad, even if we are assigned, guys. And this is another one that even if assigned, it pays a 5.18% dividend. I'll be playing more and more of these more value-oriented names because of the fact that we have so many recessionary headlines, right? So growth tends to get a little bit punished with recessionary headlines, and value names really start to shine bright in these times. So those are going to be more of the ones that I am playing. Very happy with the way we got some premium on this position so far. That's it, pretty much it for the Dow. In terms of the other trades that we took here today, guys, well, we did add to one of the trades down below here. We added some OXY. Once again, this was in my top 5 options play video for the week that I released on Sunday, looking for the 56 puts, and we finally got them. Got one contract off for about 20 cents here, guys, $20. We almost got the low of the day. OXY, same concept, guys. More of a defensive company right here. It's obviously one of 2 oil companies that is in Warren Buffett's Berkshire Hathaway portfolio. I like this company a lot. Great fundamentals. And we also have a roughly 2 years worth of support down here, 56, 55. I love those trades. That's why I took it. So we will see how this one plays out over the course of the week as well. And as a last trade that I added to the portfolio here, guys, you will see we added some UPS. So I had some contracts outstanding already for the month of October, but today we got a nice little extra dip on UPS, and I was able to get some decent premium here on the following bull call credit spread. So the November 135 versus 140 bull call debit spread right here, we paid about $1.57 per contract. Fairly decent. We'll be looking maybe to close these when they possibly hit $2.50, as close to $3 as possible. So not quite a 2x, but we are looking for UPS to eventually make a move back into this maybe $130, $145 range, which is not asking too much, right? We're not asking for too much. Maybe the 135, 137 area, which is barely, 6-7% above the current share price. And we're giving ourselves 2 and 3 months worth of time to do it. I think it is largely possible for UPS to accomplish this. Great area of monthly support here, guys, right? Coming into prior resistance levels from all the way back in 2018 and 2019. Stock has really been bottoming out. Very slow bottom out process for UPS as well, right? So we will keep this one and see how those shares go. That is pretty much how I am positioned leading into NVIDIA earnings tomorrow. You'll notice that most of the plays that I open, guys, are always value names. We are maintaining a few positions into NVIDIA earnings. The AMD 139s, if they are green tomorrow, if AMD has a nice green day tomorrow, I might be able to close these. If I can close these for 50% leading into NVIDIA earnings, I will take that off the table. Just take some semiconductor risk off the table. The other semi that I have leading into earnings, guys, which I've already showed you guys that I have since last Thursday, right? We still have the Micron $92 puts that we wrote for 49 cents. Same concept, guys. If I can close these maybe close to 50% gain, let's say all of semiconductors rally tomorrow into NVIDIA earnings, I may take these off the table and just sit on the sidelines and wait until after earnings. So that's how I'm going to be playing it. In terms of actually playing NVIDIA itself, well, I might just be doing one of these two things, right? So I'm probably going to take a slight bullish position on the stock 15 to 30 minutes before it closes, maybe even an hour, because sometimes 50 minutes to 30 minutes before they ramp up the volatility. I want to get some bull call debit spreads. I wouldn't say I'm confident enough to just go straight call options with it, because the implied volatility is extremely high on NVIDIA right now, and you're really not getting the best pricing for those call options. That's why I like doing call debit spreads. So I may just be doing the 135 versus the 140 call debit spreads. I might give myself 30, 45 days worth of time on those. So slightly out of the money and not too much time. Really want a quick move into that area and be able to close some profits. And to the downside, I may even write another bullish position, guys. We know the expected move now is, as I showed earlier in the video, right? The expected move is about 10%. So if I can find some premium, guys, 2 standard deviations away from the expected move, aka 20% off, that would pretty much be all the way down here. So we would have to target around the 102 $100 strike. I may just throw one contract at NVIDIA there because I do want to buy the company if it comes down there anyways for a swing trade, right? So that's just a little bit of how I'm going to position for NVIDIA earnings over the course of the afternoon tomorrow. As I said, the call debit spreads, I'll probably wait for all the price action of the day and probably start buying them at 3 p.m. or slightly before. For the short puts, usually I always like waiting before up until the last 5 to 10 minutes of the day, because that's when you usually get your last volatility spike. A lot of options are purchased at the end of the day, and that's when you can get the best possible pricing selling those put options that people are going to bid up before the close, and they are bidding up into you who are selling them those contracts at good premium down there, right? So that's pretty much everything for today's video, guys. If you enjoyed today's video, consider dropping a like. Would really appreciate it for the growth of the channel. Consider also subscribing to the channel if you're new. We do these videos every Monday to Friday after the close, so we'd love to have you back here. And as usual, guys, if you have any questions whatsoever, especially in times of uncertainty right now, please feel free to leave them down below in the comments. Anything you want. If there's a stock you want me to look at, technical analysis, an options play you're considering, if you want to discuss about the recession and the macro, no problem at all. Everything is fair game. Leave it down below and I'll usually get back to you in the first 24 hours. Of course, thereafter, we do have our private Discord community. So happy with the way this one has been rolled out so far. Beautiful people in there. We have a lot of fun on a daily basis. So if that's something that interests you, you can find all the information in the link down below, of course. And I've also enabled the channel memberships. If you just want to support the channel in any way possible for a very low cost, you can always subscribe to the YouTube membership portion of the channel. I've turned them on, not a sales pitch, just for any and all of you who do want to support the channel in any shape, way, or form. I truly do appreciate all of your guys' support, guys. It means the absolute world to me. You guys make this journey all worthwhile. I love making these videos, and I especially love teaching people new things or refining certain option strategies or other strategies as well, right? So take care, guys. Been a pleasure as usual. Be careful tomorrow for NVIDIA earnings, of course. Love you guys, and see you tomorrow after the close tomorrow. Peace.